Number 21. Cells use this process to bond together monomers in order to release energy, break apart a polymer in order to release energy, bond together monomers in order to store energy in the newly formed polymer, break apart a polymer in order to store energy in the new monomers. 22. The cell theory states all of the following except cells are the basic units for all living things. All living things are made of cells. Organelles are the basic units for all living things. New cells are produced from pre-existing cells. 23. The endosymbiotic theory states that the modern-day eukaryotic cell is actually an infected viral cell. Organelles, such as chloroplasts and mitochondria, were once free-living cells which eventually lived symbiotically within larger cells, forming the modern-day eukaryote. Organelles, such as chloroplasts and mitochondria, were once free-living viruses, which infected bacterial cells, forming the modern-day eukaryote. Chloroplasts and mitochondria live freely within our bodies and are only found within eukaryotic cells when the organism is unicellular. 24. Blank cells do not contain a true nucleus, while blank cells do contain a true nucleus. Eukaryotic and prokaryotic, unicellular and multicellular. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic, multicellular and unicellular. 25. Blank organisms are composed of a single cell, while blank organisms are made of many specialized cells. Eukaryotic and prokaryotic, unicellular and multicellular. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic, multicellular and unicellular. 26. Blank is the movement of any particles from high to low concentration, while blank is specifically the movement of water molecules. Facilitated diffusion and diffusion, osmosis and diffusion, diffusion and active transport, diffusion and osmosis. 27. Some molecules require the use of blank because they are too large to pass through the phospholipid bilayer and require assistance from the protein channels within the cell membrane. Facilitated diffusion, osmosis, active transport, diffusion. 28. Hypertonic describes an osmotic environment where there is more water inside the cell than outside the cell. Describes an osmotic environment where there is less water inside the cell than outside the cell. Describes an osmotic environment where there is the same concentration of water inside the cell as outside the cell. None of the above. 29. Hypotonic describes an osmotic environment where there is more water inside the cell than outside the cell. Describes an osmotic environment where there is less water inside the cell than outside the cell. Describes an osmotic environment where there is the same concentration of water inside the cell as outside the cell. None of the above. Number 30. Isotonic describes an osmotic environment where there is more water inside the cell than outside the cell. Describes an osmotic environment where there is less water inside the cell than outside of the cell. Describes an osmotic environment where there is the same concentration of water inside the cell as outside the cell. None of the above. 31. Which of the following organelles is not correctly paired with its diagram label? Number 1, endoplasmic reticulum. Number 2, endoplasmic reticulum. Number 4, ribosomes. Number 10, centrioles. 32. If the cell's DNA is no longer protected and enclosed, which organelle might not be functioning properly? Organelle number 1, number 2, number 4, or number 9? Number 33. If the cell is not modifying, sorting, and packaging the proteins and lipids coming from the endoplasmic reticulum, which organelle might not be functioning properly? Organelle 1, 2, 4, or 9? Number 34. Which organelle above assists the cell with DNA organization during replication? Organelle 4, 6, 9, or 10? 35. If organelle number 3 contains lysosome, it is a peroxisome, it breaks down hydrogen peroxide, it breaks down useless cell parts. All of the above are accurate. 36. Which organelle above completes cellular respiration? Organelle 4, 6, 9, or 10? 37. If the cell is no longer able to connect amino acids to produce proteins, it is probably missing organelle 1, 5, 2, or 9. 38. If organelle number 7 contains catalase, it is found in plant cells only. It breaks down hydrogen peroxide. It is a lysosome. It breaks down useless cell parts. 39. Which of the organelles shown above would not be found in an animal cell? Organelles 1, 2, and 4, 3, 5, 6, and 7, 3, 5, and 7, 1, 3, and 5. Number 40. When a plant wilts, it is because it is losing water out of organelle number 1, 3, 4, or 5.